Soon it developed into something more. It was fairly locally to here at Luton Airport that 60 years ago the prototype Jet Provost took to the air, running in for their first pass. In the lead of the formation, that's the one in the red, white and blue scheme, and you can distinguish it from the T5A accompanying it by the fact that the T5 doesn't have the wingtip-mounted tip tanks for extra fuel capacity. Dick Welton was the test pilot who took the prototype Jet Provost T1 for its maiden flight at Luton Airport. There followed just over a year of development flying at Boston Down, then aeroplane armaments experiment for establishment in Wiltshire. And it was in July 1955 that service trials of the Mark I began with the Central Flying School at RAF Little Rissington in the Cotswolds. They, of course, trained the RAF instructors and were developing the training syllabus for the new jet trainers. Very soon it became clear that the JP-T1, Jet Provost has always been colloquially referred to as the JP, was an excellent training platform. Number 2 Flying Training School at Hallavington was the first to take delivery, and the students found the new aircraft very easy to fly. In fact, they discovered that students would go solo more quickly on the Jet Provost than its distant predecessor. That really convinced the RAF that the all-jet training concept was the right one. The T2 Mark that followed was an interim development. One of the main changes, if you've ever seen a Jet Provost T1, Kennett Aviation used to operate one on the display circuit for some years, and it displayed here at Duxford, was to the undercarriage. The T1 had a hugely distinctive, stalky undercarriage arrangement. That was changed on the Mark II. And then came the Jet Provost T3, the first major production variant. It had a more powerful version of the Viper engine, it had ejector seats, the wings were strengthened, and it was given tip tanks for additional fuel. That aircraft entered service in 1959, and the following year, the first all-jet training course by the Royal Air Force graduated with their wings. Which give the aircraft a maximum speed of some 440 miles an hour. This was considerably more than had been possible with the earlier Marks. The T5, as we see here, was developed with a pressurised cockpit, so it could conduct training at higher altitudes. The Viper engine was further uprated, and the wings given more strengthening. The RAF had 110 of these aircraft, which entered service first with the Central Flying School, Little Rissington, doing so in September 1969. The Jet Provost was always a superb aerobatic display mount, and there was a huge list of RAF aerobatic teams that were mounted on Jet Provost. The first of them had Mark I, that was the Central Flying School's outfit called the Sparrows in 1958. Virtually every RAF unit that operated JPs had its own display team. The Central Flying School had the Red Pelicans. Number 1 Flying Training School had the Blades, no relation to today's Extra 300 civilian team, of course. The College of Air Warfare had the Macaws. Number 3 Flying Training School, the Gemini Pair and the Swords. And the Royal Air Force College, the last of them, the Cranwell Poachers. Export success too, the Jet Provost. And number of overseas customers bought the type. Some of them used it not just for training, but also for light attack with underwing weaponry, and BAC saw there was a market for such an aircraft and developed from this the BAC 167 Strike Master as a dedicated light attack variant on the basis of the JP. Two aircraft pulling into a landing roll. Nostalgic sight for those of you with memories of the Jet Provost display teams I mentioned. So I'm very happy with that. This is a RAF service in the early 1990s. Pulling up now into a half-Cuban manoeuvre. Up into the vertical assist to loop. Going round the top as we see. A quick check and then rolling in unison on the way down.
Sort of basic combat maneuvers.
So splitting the formation down to the tail chase segment of the display, led by an aircraft that was only the third Jet Provost T5 ever produced. That was by BAC's Warden facility in Lancashire in 1969. With the Central Flying School, and during that time it served with their Red Pelicans aerobatic team. It then went through the Royal Air Force College, Cranwell, number 1 Flying Training School, number 3 Flying Training School, and back to number 1. It was retired from service in September 1993. And now it forms part of the Hunter Flight Academy fleet and is in the colours it wore when it was one of the later display mounts for the Jet Provost and RAF service. Final portion of this display. One of them will be departing to North Field, because the pilot has another aircraft to fly later. The other will be landing back here. The second aeroplane, owned by Jeff Bell, who runs a bespoke VIP aircraft interior business based in Mansfield. After years in service were with number 6 FGS at Fittingly, where it was used for training navigators specifically, and then it's destined for fast jet operations in the low level and air defence disciplines. Jeff Bell bought it in September 2007, and it refurbished by North Wales Military Aircraft Services at Harden near Chester, and it's in the number 6 Flying Training School colours. Today it's based at East Midlands Airport. The one owned by the Hunter Flight Academy. That was flown by Chris Eames. Andy Hill shortly coming to land with the other aeroplane, but here go the two Boeing Stearman A-75s. take you over the next quarter of an hour or so. The JP into land. That's actually the T5 model, the other one being the T5A, my apologies.
It's worth saying, Ben, I think that our next display is a nod to the First World War, where a lot of the pilots who flew during the First World War managed to continue flying after the war by taking up barnstorming, where they would acquire, it has to be said, some elderly aircraft and would perform at various shows across the country, with the young ladies performing stunts not dissimilar to what they were just about to see.
Indeed, but then it must be said it was a rather less regulated environment in which they did it. Wing walking meant exactly that. Well, we're about to see something of that in the next display as the Soprano taxis past us. About 150 miles an hour there. And while this is a relatively calm day, it's very difficult for the girls on the wings to move. I wonder they have to be decidedly athletic for this discipline.
And ladies, if you do fancy this, they do from time to time do pleasure flights. They don't have to be a lady to do that, but they do from time to time take people up on charity fundraising flights of this sort. So if you think your stomach is up to it, then you better get in touch with the Breitling Wing walkers.
And what you'll notice during this display is that they've now switched. Today, the two girls on the wings are Danielle Hughes and Lydia Beadle. Danielle, in fact, went to an air show at the age of 6 where she saw the wing walking team displaying, and she ever thereafter dreamt of doing it. Well, the dream came true. In between, she proved her athleticism by becoming, at the age of 14, the national black belt second dan British champion at Taekwondo. She's a pilot herself, Danielle, getting her private pilot's license in 2008, and she's in the lead aircraft of this pair, coming past once again for another waving pass.
I did say earlier on that if you fancy a flight like this, get in touch with the Breitling Wing because if you want to do that with charity fundraising event, I don't think it's obligatory that you to hold your leg up quite like that.
Yes, this is an activity that requires a good deal of physical training, and of course they want to try and do it in coordination as well. Danielle on the first aircraft, Lydia on the second one. She's the newest member of the team, having joined in only April this year. It's extremely hardy. They're displaying all sorts of weather conditions, and when Lydia did her audition flight to join the Wingwalkers. That was in the rain, but she says it didn't put her off. The sort of outdoors existence, outdoors pursuits, very much in Lydia's blood. She has been a horse rider for many years and loves travelling, which is just as well because the team covers all over the UK and goes deep into Europe to perform displays, and indeed further afield. Only last winter they went out to the United Arab Emirates, to Bahrain, and then for the first time ever to Kuwait. The team's also been off to China in recent years, all of this in support of the promotional activities by Breitling, the Swiss watch manufacturer, great supporters of the aviation scene. Leading the formation display as far as the pilots are concerned is Dave Barrell. He started flying the Stearman with Eastern Stearman at Swanton Morley in Norfolk. And some negative G being experienced now, what they call the bumps. It looks like they're on the right way up though. Going supersonic and causing that very distinctive rasping note. You'll hear that later from another Stearman, but these two aircraft are rather different. They've been given the uprated 450 horsepower with the engine for display purposes. And now you can see the girls on their sides. Aircraft is the director of flying for Aero Superbatics, who operates the Breitling Wing. He started flying at the Clacton Aero Club. He had to wait till his 17th birthday to go solo. Martin became a flying instructor and examiner. He also worked here at IWM Duxford for a time. He really enjoys the challenge of formation flying in the number 2, the slot position. Aero Superbatics, the operating company founded by Vic Norman, still a member of the team and one of the great names of British display flying. He's been earning a living from the display business for over 30 years now, and that is no small thing, let me tell you. Of the display, following that very impressive break. All the while the team leader is calling out the speed, giving the other aircraft the information on where he is, so that they can achieve absolute precision in terms of crossing over and display data. And they're now tipping in towards us, towards each other. prizes since the late 1980s. Breitling has sponsored the team for the past few years. With very elegant size these aircraft made with the predominantly orange and white colour scheme. The two aircraft coming in on the 45-degree lines. It's another crossover. Reaching speeds up to 158 miles an hour during this display. We saw that at the beginning when they dived in. Shortly be rejoining in for another head-to-head pass, after which they'll be getting back together for the final few formation flybys. Two aircraft get back together, I expect to see them climbing to gain a bit of height and therefore energy before coming back in for the formation roll. Aero Superbatics operates these aircraft based at an extremely attractive location, Rentham in Gloucestershire, near Simon 17's beautiful Cotswold countryside down there. The Royal Flying Corps so you can see they've gained back height. They'll start diving in here before pulling up the synchronized rolls. Well, now comes a really athletic part of the display for the two wing walkers because they'll start to unstrap from the wings on the top wings. They remain attached to the aircraft by a waist harness and a safety wire, of course. And we'll see the pilots slowing the two steerings down to about 80 miles an hour. And the wing walkers may be able to watch through the long lenses or binoculars, gradually climbing forward, so they're sitting on the leading edge of the aircraft's top wing. They're just above the propeller here, and this is a manoeuvre they call the wind rider. That needs a lot of upper body strength when dealing with the wind forces they're experiencing to push themselves forward and maintain that position, when of course they haven't got anything behind them to support them.
But keeping side just the most. Charity free of water. You love it. Yeah.